This is James from the Malaysian Dietary Supplement Association, and welcome to another episode of our series, Natural Health with Nutrition and Supplements. Today with me, I have an interesting Malaysian company with an interesting innovation, homegrown innovation. And the founder of this company is also a very interesting personality, as we shall soon find out. And I would therefore like to welcome B-Crobes founder, Dean Lee. Welcome, Dean.
Hi, James. Thank you for having me today.
So, Dean, your company's name is really interesting, B-Crobes. And do you mind just sharing with us, how did you come up with this name, and does it have a secret or hidden meaning?
Yes, actually, B-Crobes was founded in 2002, which means we already have been here for 19 years. Right, B-Crobes has a very special name, a secret name. It meant biotechnology in microbiology. Right, I little bit elaborate on the histories of B-Crobes. Right, in 2006, B-Crobes laboratory Sdn Bhd was awarded with a pioneer status by the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Malaysia. And we are proud to say that we are the first biopharmaceutical company in Malaysia with GMP certification to produce probiotic product. And 2012, we were awarded by BioNexus status by Bioeconomy Corporation. Right, in the company, we have a good, strong workforce of 40. And more than 60% of the staff are knowledge worker. And we also include 4 PhDs and an MBA qualification.
Wow, Dean, I didn't know you were existing for almost 20 years now. So it's not a new company, but an established corporation. Yes. And looking at, hearing what you have said about what the Malaysian government has awarded you, and, it looks like you are a healthcare company making probiotics, but you're also a high-tech corporation as well, being given all this technology awards and recognition. So that's really interesting, Lee.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting name as well. And it's really interesting to see that you have so many PhDs and MBAs as well working with you. That's really remarkable, Lee. Not many healthcare companies have Malaysian healthcare companies, small ones. I don't know how big you are, your total staff, but that sounds like it is very knowledge heavy. All right. And Lee, I need to get this right. So I'm going to read out from what I have here. You have a very interesting tagline for your company here.
Yeah.
And it is Future Medical Innovations Today.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just read that again for everybody who probably didn't hear it right. Future medical innovations today. How did you come up with this, Lee?
Yeah, that is a very interesting tagline. As you know, now the approach of medical treatments for the diseases actually is evolving very fast. And actually, thanks to the advanced technology that are readily available in this modern era. Bacterial therapy treatment, which was totally unheard of in the past, and then now it is popularly used to treat patients who are suffering from GI disorder, and now it also can be used to increase the immunity of oneself through immunobiotic processes, and that's where the name comes from. It's a future medical innovation, but you can have it today.
Okay, Lee, that's really interesting that you're talking about immunity. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting topic, especially the word immunity now. Yeah. With all this pandemic that's going on, I think a lot of heightened interest in immunity and how do we boost our immunity, because the vaccines don't seem to be coming out fast enough as we wanted. It's going to be probably another few months or a year before most of us young people like you and I, Lee, young guys,
you're right.
A few months before we get our vaccine.
Yes,
right?
Right.
And so let's jump into your probiotics brand called Hexbio, which is an interesting name. Tell us, how does the name have a meaning?
Yes, naturally, it does have a very unique name. In Greek, hex means 6, and that's to represent hex. And bio represents the unique microorganism that we have in the product formulation. That's where it comes from, Hexbio.
Okay, so that's we will save that question for a later time today. Right. What I would like to go into now is tell us a bit about Hexbio, since you mentioned about the hex as well as the other properties. So go ahead and just tell us briefly, Dean, what are the features of Hexbio that will be helpful for people who want to boost their immunity or in other areas.
Yes, Hexbio is I would say, it's the first local produced probiotic products. I think we are also the first probiotic to register in Malaysia with Ministry of Health, which is back in 2005. Right? Hexbio is a microbial cells preparation. We normally abbreviated with MCP, MCP. Which consists of 6 specific microorganism strains. It is prepared in the forms of granule, right, with palatable taste of orange flavor, and it is it's a favorite not only among the children but also the adults. Hexbio has been used by doctors for over 16 years. To treat patients which suffer from gastrointestinal disorder. Now it is also widely used to other consumers, specifically for gut health maintenance. Hexbio is clinically proven with 12 published clinical papers, 6 unpublished, and also there are 4 ongoing studies. By the way, Hexbio is also halal certified.
Well, that's a list of things that you have achieved with Hexbio, Dean. So from 2005, you made register. So that's about 16 years already now. It's in the Malaysian market. Right. And interestingly, you say it's meant for adults and for children as well. Is it the same dosage, Dean?
Yeah, it's different dosage. Adults, we prefer about 3 for treatment, normally you take 2 sachets per day, all right? And for maintenance dose is 1 sachet for adults. And for children, you can take 1.5 gram, which is half of the sachet. That will be enough, sufficient.
All right. So if I get that right, Dean, what you're saying is that 1 sachet is 1 gram? Is that 3 grams? Okay, yeah, 3 grams. Thank you. All right. So 1 sachet is 3 grams. And you have mentioned treatment of GI disorders. Which ones specifically are we talking about?
Okay, GI disorder actually is it comprises those people who suffer constipation, what I call nutrient problem with nutrient absorptions, and also people who are undergoing, let's say, for example, surgery recovery period, right? They need enough nutrients, which Hexbio is very helpful to. For those patients who are suffering from, not suffering, they're undergoing the what I call surgery, which actually they speed up the recovery, period. Shorten the recovery period. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So just coming back to what you had earlier said, Dean, which is the first Malaysian probiotic to be registered in Malaysia. That's a great honor for Malaysia. Yeah. Yes. So I just wanted to press on that point because not very often do we get Malaysian healthcare companies with innovation. So that's a great achievement, Dean. And Dean, you had earlier mentioned that one of the properties or uniqueness of Hexbio is MCP. Yes. And I think you also did mention BCMC. So that's a lot of abbreviations. Just in case anyone missed it, could you just highlight what does MCP as well as BCMC mean?
MCP means Microbial Cell Preparations. And in our lab, actually, we call MCPs because we use the terms microbial cells simply because it is cells, right, bacterial cells. And that is part of the preparation. That's what we call MCP, right? In our laboratory, we have successfully isolated 11 unique bacterial strains, which belongs to us. All right. We do not import or buy any bacterial strains from other company. We own it. And to identify these bacterial strains, okay, we use in our lab, we use the terms BCMC, which is an abbreviation for B-Crobes microbial cells. All right, and every cells we have a tag number of it to represent the types of bacteria that we have.
Oh, that's remarkable, Lee, because from what I understand about probiotics, and this is where I needed to jump in, Dean. My understanding of probiotics, or most of the probiotic products that I've seen, have got 1 or 2 strains, and you are saying that B-Crobes have actually developed or discovered 11 microbes that you all are using. Are all 11 in Hexbio, Dean?
No, not all the 11. Only the 6 particular strain that we use. Yes, that's why we call Hexbio. So we have 5 in the in our bacterial bank, which is safe, which we keep these bacteria for future use.
All right, remarkable. So Hex means 6, and therefore Hexbio has got 6 unique strains in the probiotics. Okay, So am I right, Dean, in my observation that most of the probiotic products that are in Malaysia are either 1 or maybe maximum of 3 strains?
Yes, we must remember that in our body we have trillions of bacterial cells. All right. So if you have 1 or 2, well, I suppose for example our particular strains, we need at least 6 bacterial strains. That's what we believe, right? Based on the clinical trials, based on the scientific standpoint, we look at it. Right, 6 strain is actually, to us, we can see this what we call a very effective results for those who suffer certain GI disorder. Yeah.
Okay. And you said that Hexbio is in granule form. Is that different from powder form, Dean?
Yes, powder actually, when you take it, it becomes when you put it inside your mouth, actually, it is not taste so good. Why? Because it's so powdery, you put it inside the mouth. Why we produce in a granule forms? Because of technology that we have, granule forms. Also because of due to what we call microencapsulations of the bacteria, right, in granule form. And once you take it on the mouth, it has a very unique textures of the product. All right, you don't get choke. All right, you can have a taste of nice flavorings of the Hexbio that we have, and then you can swallow it. And then this is because you don't have to mix with water. Okay, you can take orally direct into the mouth. Yeah, that is fantastic about the Hexbio.
Okay, Lee. So, Dean, what you're saying is you can just open the sachet and dump it into your mouth, or if you prefer, you can mix it with water, or even add to your food as well, or desserts. Since it's orange flavored.
Yes, absolutely. You can take it straight away inside your mouth. I think that the children likes it because of the taste is so good. Right, even the adults also they do like it as well. Yeah. Because
I'm sure I would like to try it as well, Dean. I'll probably put it on some dessert, on some jelly, and consume it that way as well. And because it's granule, and you said that the texture it's favorable texture. Can you chew it, or do you just swallow?
Well, it's up to individual. If you like to chew it, by all means. It's not going to to reduce the efficacies of the results of the product, or you just allow it melt in your mouth and then you just swallow it, and then after that you just drink a glass of water.
Right. Okay. So it will also melt in your mouth. That reminds me of some chocolate brand, the famous chocolate brand. It melts in your mouth.
It's something like M&M, isn't it?
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Okay. M&Ms.
Yeah.
All right. So you had also mentioned that you have done 12 clinical trials, Dean?
Yes,
and
correct.
4 are ongoing.
Yes.
And where were all these trials done in Malaysia, Dean?
Yes, most of the trials are done in Malaysia. That is under the hospitals or University of Malaysia, and also at the hospitals in and the other non-published were done in overseas. Some is done in Philippines. All right. And yeah, most of the trials that we done in Malaysia are all published clinical trials. Yeah.
And which publications were they published? Would you be able to recall?
Yeah, there are many publishers. All right. We have in the Natures, and we also have the there are quite numbers publication. Let me. I try to refresh. I can't remember much of. There are quite what I call the renowned journals actually where you can refer to.
Right. Okay. I think that's good enough, Dean, because I don't think most people would be reading this clinical documentation anyway. It's more of a doctor's world. So we will spare our listeners from the details of clinical studies. Right. Okay. But it's definitely assuring that there are 12 clinical studies done. That's definitely, and 4 are ongoing as well. When do you anticipate those 4 trials to be published, Dean?
It's because of the, let's say, because of the pandemic, actually, they delay much of the studies. And we hope that the other 4 studies are going to complete by this year, and hopefully it can be published out in the journals.
Okay, Dean. Now, Dean, you had also mentioned that for treatment, there are certain groups of people who will benefit from this. Those who have constipation, those who have problems absorbing nutrients.
Yes.
So these probably are people who are, I would say, instantly looking at this, probably elderly, probably young children.
Yes.
Because they don't eat well and they have constipation.
Yes, correct.
I remember some of my siblings had this kind of issues when they were young, as well as those who are undergoing surgery.
Yes.
Are there also other groups of patients, those we could consider in the vulnerable groups, who would benefit from Hexbio?
Yes, actually, we have conducted one of the very interesting studies, which is conducted in the University of Malaysia. And that study is actually we are looking at those critically ill patients in the ICU. All right. That study is proof that those people who are in the ICU actually they can recover faster and they move to a normal ward actually about 50% faster in recovery. Yes, because why? Because of the ICU, they look at the nutrient absorption, whether the patients have enough nutrients, all right? If they see that the nutrients intake is sufficient nutrient intakes, then they move from the ICU to another ward, right? And that study actually proved that actually Hexbio helps those patients who are in ICU, definitely.
Yeah, it makes sense, Lee, because I think most people in ICU and post-surgery, nutrition is a big deal for them, right? Whether you get well fast or slow depends on the amount of nutrients your body gets. And definitely it's cost saving as well, because if you say it takes half the time to get out of ICU, imagine the cost saving for the patient and the hospital as well. I'm sure a lot of hospitals want their patients out of ICU. Sorry, Dean, go ahead.
I just want to add, actually, it helps the government a lot. Actually, can reduce the government costs, right? And also you can reduce the numbers of ICU in the country also. I think not only the recovery from the ICU, but also recovery of the patients who are undergoing the surgery.
Yes, that's right. So, Lee, I would just like to move on, Lee. You had earlier mentioned that this Hexbio, some trials have been done in the Philippines, or one trial in the Philippines. So, I am assuming now that Hexbio is not just available in Malaysia, but probably outside of Malaysia. Do you mind telling us which are the countries that people can get Hexbio in besides Malaysia?
Okay. We have been... those countries which is actually available in Hexbio available, we already registered since 2007. We marketed Hexbio Hexbio is already registered in Cambodia, Indonesia, Palestine, Philippines, UAE, Jordan, Oman, and Yemen, right? And Hexbio is also marketed in Brunei, China, Egypt, Taiwan, Singapore, and also Thailand.
Oh, those are big markets that you're present, that Hexbio is present in,
Yeah.
Dean. And do you have your own operations there in these countries, Dean, or do you use agents?
We have agents, most part of the Middle East country, we have agents, right? And we have another company in Thailand, which is recently got registered in Thailand, and we are going to sell beginning this year.
Oh, that's great, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Dean, that's really interesting. Now, I just wanted to pick up on something that I gathered about Hexbio.
Mm-hmm.
One of the places, I guess, where you did a clinical trial,
Right.
The Dean of Medicine at UKM, and for those who are not familiar, UKM stands for University Kebangsaan Malaysia, or to translate into English, it means the National University of Malaysia. Professor Dr. Raja Effendi Raja Ali.
Mm-hmm.
He is a gastroenterologist, and he referred to Hexbio as an immunobiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what does this mean, Dean?
Okay, the definitions of immunobiotic is any microbial cells that are able to regulate the mucosa immune system in our body. That's the definitions of immunobiotic. All right. The reason why Hexbio is referred as immunobiotic by our renowned gastroenterologist in Malaysia, and also the Dean of Medicine, as mentioned, of UKM, Professor Dr. Raja Effendi, is purely based on one of his clinical research. And I would also say, and proudly say, that it is the only one in the world conducted on the CRC patient, which is colorectal cancer patient, who has undergoing the surgery and chemotherapy. And these patients are selected for this particular trial. They are, from the study itself, the data shows that those who consume Hexbio, actually, you can see their immune response increases, where the data of the inflammatory markers reduces. 6 of the inflammatory markers reduces. And for those who did not take Hexbio, you can see the inflammatory markers increases. So because of that, actually can induce immune response, and that's why Prof. Raja Effendi mentioned that there is an immunobiotic effect if you take Hexbio.
No wonder he's impressed, Dean. I mean, he's also one of the trialists, and he has seen this with his own eyes during the trial as well.
Yes, you're right. And for your information, this result actually was presented also at the World Gastroenterology Conference in US and by Professor Dr. Raja Effendi in 2018.
2018, just about 3 years ago. That's it.
Yes.
That's very, very fresh data, actually. Okay, that's great, Dean. Dean, I also gathered that Hexbio has got 30 billion CFU, right? Colony forming units, CFU, for those who are not familiar with that term. What is the reason that you created this product with 30 billion CFU rather than, let's say, if we pluck from the air, 20 billion or 50 billion or some crazy number like that? Why 30 billion, Dean?
Okay, James, this is a very interesting question. In order for me to answer the question, we have to evaluate why we use 30 billion or not 20 billion or 10 billion. It's all purely based on science and data standpoint, right? For most of our clinical studies, there are evidence that shows that the efficacies of Hexbio, actually we are using 30 billion CFU, which has seen a vast improvement in those subject studies, right? And especially in the studies, you can see those who suffer from the GI disorder, you can see improvement. And that's the reason why we stick to 30 billion CFU. So whichever selection you make whether you did mention 20 billion, 30 billion, or 50 billion save you. I think the particular manufacturer or the product manufacturer is supposed to come up with a clinical trial to prove that 20 billion is effective or 50 billion is effective. And then allow us as a consumer to evaluate whether we need 30 billion, 20 billion, or 50 billions.
Thanks, Dean. So it's good to know that this is based on science, not on opinions of one or two people, or feelings, or stuff like that. Yeah, so it's not plucked from air. It is actually based on clinical documentation that B-Crobes has done.
Yes.
Okay, that's good, Dean. And either in Malaysia or globally, Dean, you had mentioned that, it can be used in ICU patients and, chronically ill patients. So do you mind just revealing which are the hospitals that use Hexbio?
Okay, currently the hospitals used in Malaysia, there will be Pantai Hospitals, Asuta Hospitals, Anson Bay, KBJ, University Malaya, Hospital University Malaya, Hospital UKM, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and also Kintam Medical Center, right? And also in the UAE, certain hospitals which I know they also be widely use Hexbio as a part in the ICU department as well. So.
Okay, Dean, I think it is time now, Dean, for me to just reassure those who are watching this or listening to this video. We've been talking about hospitals, inpatients, those post-surgical, chronically ill, and so on. But I'm sure that Hexbio, just like other probiotics, is not to be just used for those who are chronically ill, but also for healthy people. Can you just clarify that, Dean?
Yes, absolutely right. You're saying Hexbio actually is not only used for patients in the hospitals, and it also can be used for what they call for the number one is for the travelers, right? Why I would say travelers, they really need it for healthy patient. I mean, healthy person. When you travel around the world, all right, or any other places, all right, your gut is easily disrupted. Actually, it's due to the different diet that you have, the environment, and the lifestyle. Maybe you have to adopt your lifestyle in that particular area, and that will definitely disrupt your gut. And that's why you have a lot of people who travel a lot. They have issues of constipation, what they call indigestive, and so on. And the second one is those people who are elderly people, as just like we mentioned, elderly people. All right, they really need it because aging actually they lose a lot of those what they call gut. They will disrupt the gut microflora, and that is the reason why they have to take what they call the probiotic supplements. As we age, our power, what they call movement, is bad. Right, that always leads to constipation when we age. Most of us, and also for children, children who are malnourished. Nowadays, a lot of children, which is I think they have low immune system. That's why they have cases of allergies. All right, and these are children they need it, and also those people who are on medication as well. Right, most of the medication actually disrupt the bowel, and then they still constantly need probiotic to help them to improve the bowel movement.
Okay, Lee, you had Dean, you had just mentioned about travelers. Okay, that Hexbio could be useful for, and you had already earlier mentioned about constipation. Now, usually when as you correctly pointed out, when people go overseas, there's a change in diet, and probably the hygiene conditions in a lot of countries that Malaysians visit may not be that good. So I just wanted to ask you, out of curiosity, is there any data that shows that Hexbio can help in reducing diarrhea or food poisoning?
Well, at the moment, we do not have actual studies on the diarrhea, but what we're saying is because when you have a gut disorder, GI disorder, all right, there are two range of symptoms that you're going to have. Either you are really constipated or you have diarrhea, all right? And because of these studies that we have, because diarrhea has been widely sort of done the research, and that is the reason why we do not much focus on that particular area, and we are very much focused on those what we call constipation, which actually can see help to improve the gut movement, right? By adjusting or improve the what we call the gut health, actually it can helps to improve the what we call the diarrhea as well. That is what our hypothesis, based on the hypothesis that we have.
Okay, so I guess then, if that's the case, Dean, just based on the hypothesis, right?
Yes, yes.
So it would logically mean that anyone who's traveling to another country should take Hexbio with them when they travel as well. Just continue as usual.
Yes, yes, of course.
And because it's in sachet form, it's pretty convenient to just pack it in your bag, right? It's not a huge container of or powdered tin like milk and so on. Yeah. All right. I get what you're trying to say. So, Dean, you have Hexbio has won some awards. Tell us about these awards.
Yes, we won the awards. They call the Preferred Probiotics Award, which is a survey done by these health magazines since 2019. We won that award, and another year, 2020, we also won that award as well.
2 years in a row, Dean.
Yes,
so I hope 2021 you get the award as well. Which magazine was this, Dean, that conducted these surveys?
Okay, the magazines that we won the award in 2019 and 2020 is a natural health magazines, right? It's a survey on all the probiotic user, and we are the one who selected one of the most what about the preferred probiotic they use.
All right. Okay. So great. A reputable health magazine that is read widely by Malaysians. Okay. Now, Dean, before I started this interview, I told everybody that I have got an interesting founder today with me, and with an interesting background. So it's time for me to reveal to everyone listening in that Dean Lee is an engineer who has now pivoted to healthcare. So, Dean, what kind of engineer are you?
I'm an artificial intelligence and a software engineer. Sorry, I'm a software engineer, which I focus in artificial intelligence and also system analysis as well.
Oh my gosh, this is really crazy news. An AI engineer has developed a probiotic. I mean, what can get even more interesting than that? So, what made you jump into healthcare, Dean?
Yes, I was involved in the healthcare as a consultant for more than, I think, up to now about 30 years. I'm still doing that as well. All right. My father-in-law in Taiwan is one of the biggest pharmaceutical equipment supplier, and he supplies equipment worldwide. And it was since year 2000, actually, I'm involved in the pharmaceutical industry. And it was in 2000 that every countries in the world are looking at biotechnology. So I get to know all the professors around the world, especially in Taiwan. That's where we come up with this what we call biotechnology. We try to bring back the technology back into Malaysia. That's where we started in 2006 production in Malaysia. All
right, Dean. So that is definitely fascinating news. And now things make sense why you're getting all these tech awards for B-Crobes and Hexbio as well. So, everybody is crazy about AI and machine learning and all that kind of, software stuff and all that. So we need to ask you this question, Dean. Do you think somewhere in the future, and maybe you have plans for this as well, do you think somewhere in the future that there could be AI technology that's combined with probiotics or any other healthcare innovation?
Absolutely. I think AI is one of the things that actually the world is looking at because of the infrastructure that we have at the moment. All right. AI is one part of it. Actually, now it's not only on what we call on based on what we call the probiotic, but also can be used in many healthcare industry as well. Right? I did remember that period when I was in Taiwan. We had a very good discussion with a NASA engineer. Right, that was back then in 2000. We were discussing about using AI in monitoring our good health. We were so excited. We're talking about why not we incorporate AI into watches, all right, where you can check your heartbeat, you check what they call your weight and what's your energy burn and so forth. So during that time, we already discussed about that AI. So now you can see, all right, there are many gadgets which is used by using AI to monitor our health. I'm sure, yes, in future, it may be due to the advancements of the 5G, this and that. I'm sure there are many things that come up actually can really improve our healthcare in the future.
Dean, interesting to note that you have also had some connection with NASA as well and space technology, yeah? So Dean, if we just focus on probiotics, now, do you think, and of course, I'm using this term now, nanotechnology, and also in combination with AI, is there a future where somebody could take a probiotic in whatever form, whether it's capsules or granules with some kind of sensor inside there in the nanotech, and after consuming that, do you think there'll be some improvement in gut immunity, gut function, and stuff like that in relation to probiotics?
Yes, I would say the bacteria is in the micro form, is a micrometer, right? If you're talking about nanotechnology, I think nano size of bacteria, I think is a very challenging, and also when it comes to nano size, it's a bit I would say how the bacteria, let's say we do in the nano size, actually what we are worried is that actually this bacteria can go into our bloodstream, and that is very dangerous actually. Right, so nano size. So micro size, yes, we are already micro size. I think that is good enough, but it is also very challenging to create a bacteria in the nano size as well.
Okay, right. So, Dean, what you're also saying is that it doesn't mean that everything nanotech is good, because there are certain risks also involved. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting, because everybody thinks nano means good and micro is a little bit inferior. So I think we need to have a mindset change there. Okay, so this has been a pretty interesting discussion about probiotics, Dean. And last year, Dean, just as the pandemic was starting off, Matsa did a survey among Malaysians, and what we found out is that probiotics is actually the third or fourth most used supplement in Malaysia. And I've also seen studies in other countries where it is also pretty high, among the top 5. Now, Dean, would you happen to know why Malaysians could have probably are using or could have increased usage of probiotics, especially during the pandemic period?
Yes, I think one thing I would congratulate all the Malaysians who knows how important probiotic is, especially when it comes to gut health. Right, I think it's because of the flows of information which is widely available. Right, they know how important it is to gut health, because 75% of the immune systems come from guts. As long as you take care of the guts and make the gut stronger, and that's where you increase your immunity. Right, in this pandemic, I would say yes. The only way we can improve ourselves is to improve the immunity. All right, with this immunity that we have in hand, we actually we can reduce the the severity if we can get COVID-19, right? So we wouldn't end up in the ICU, right? I think yes. I think most Malaysian, not only Malaysian, I think the worldwide, they need to boost up the immune system. I think that is at the time being what we can do. Actually, we can boost. That's the only way the protection from the virus. Is by through increasing our immune system.
Okay, great, Keith. So I think that's great advice. And maybe you can give further advice to people who think that, okay, once the vaccine comes out and you have taken the vaccine, I don't need to worry about my immunity anymore. What advice do you have for these kind of people who think like that, Dean, that once they're vaccinated, they don't need to do anything to maintain or boost their immunity?
Okay, based on my knowledge, when it comes to what you call vaccination, all right, it does not give you 100% immunity, all right. Actually, it's prevent you from getting serious, all right, getting ICU. Now, the world, actually, the concern is we have great numbers of people getting the what we call COVID-19, which is end up in ICU, which is jam up the hospitals. By taking what we call the vaccine, actually is help to reduce the severity of once you get the what we call the COVID-19. And I'm sure once you take the take up the vaccine, and you still need to improve your immunity, right? So by increasing your immune system, right, it's just another layer of protection. Although you already have vaccinated, right? There is nothing as protection because virus will be mutate, right? And it's up to our body system to defend from the attack from new variants of COVID-19.
Thank you, Dean. I think that's timely advice for everyone who thinks that once you have taken the vaccine, everything's going to be fine. As you have correctly pointed out, yes, there are other areas of immunity that the vaccine may not or will not, give protection, and we still have to maintain, as you say, our immunity, so as we don't end up in ICU. Or if we do, we'll spend a shorter amount of time there.
Anyway, we still have to follow the SOP as well.
That's right. You still have to, follow the SOP of masking, social distancing. So having a good immunity will further add on. That's the third factor, actually, that will keep you protected. Dean, I have, in the probiotics world, I have, I come from pharmaceuticals, and I spent many years in pharmaceuticals, 20 plus years.
Wow.
And when I was in pharmaceuticals, Dean, we always looked down on non-pharmacological, products, whether it's herbal or supplements and stuff like that, because we felt that there is not much, scientific evidence behind it. But I think this discussion with you, Dean, has shown that there is a lot of promise in supplements, and specifically for probiotics, because a lot of people think that probiotics is only for your gut, but I have seen studies, Dean, where it shows that probiotics also has an effect on your head, specifically, or your brain, specifically Alzheimer's as well as Parkinson's.
Yes.
By any chance, Dean, are you conducting any Hexbio trials on any brain-related, Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease in Malaysia?
Yes, absolutely. We have one ongoing study, which is study on the Alzheimer and Parkinson disease. Right. Basically, we are looking at the quality of life, especially for this patient. And at the moment, we don't have much result out. It's still ongoing study, and hopefully, good results where we can get and we can share with you all.
That is really impressive, Dean, because it will be great if a Malaysian study is also added on to the knowledge that we are currently developing, that the world is developing on Parkinson's and Alzheimer's in relation to probiotic use. So we look forward to that study coming out, and hopefully it's a success, Dean, because then these kind of patients would have another thing to rely on rather than just drugs alone. Okay, Dean, there is one other interesting piece of information I wanted to check with you. Normally, I also give presentations, Dean, and I always get pushback from people who say, I don't need my, supplements to be taken separately. I can just get it from my food. So maybe just looking at from a probiotics perspective, Dean, what is your answer to this kind of people who say that they can get all their nutrients from food?
All right, thanks for that question, James. The probiotic that we have in our product actually is a very unique formulation, right? where you cannot get it from the food. The uniqueness of this probiotic actually, our probiotic strain actually is get from human origin, especially during, especially from an infant and healthy infant. As we age, we actually lose most part of this bacteria, and that's the reason why we can see a lot of gut issues coming out from us. And that is the reason why we formulated out this 6 bacterial strain. Actually, is all from human origin. That is at the stage of infant stage. Right? We replenish that what we have lost, and that is unique about that. And you cannot find it from the food. Yeah, because it's infant. That means the bacteria that we lost, right? Food you cannot get it, especially the milk. You get it actually is from the dairy, from the milk. Probiotic is from animal, but it's not origin, right? We have to go back to the origin, which is during our infant stage.
Yeah. So thank you for that explanation, Dean. So that is definitely useful for us to differentiate between bacteria that is in humans is different from bacteria that we derive from animals or any other source. Yeah. So the bacteria that is in Hexbio is human origin, so that is suitable for humans. That's what you're saying. All right. So Dean, this has been a really, really useful discussion. I know it's going to be useful for those who are watching this. And what I would like to ask you, I'm sure a lot of people who are not using Hexbio are probably curious, whether in Malaysia or globally as well.
Okay.
How do they get their hands on Hexbio? Where can they go to get Hexbio?
Okay, in Malaysia, you can Hexbio from the pharmacies, right? For the majority, you get from pharmacy, and most of the major pharmacies, they do carry a Hexbio, and you can get from our platform. You can get from what we call from Shopee. You can get from Shopee, and also you can get it from what we call our e-commerce website. E-commerce website, and also B Central under this in Asia as well. And besides that, hospitals.
And from the hospitals. Okay. So, Dean, you had mentioned that's available online as well from e-commerce platforms. Will people who are outside of Malaysia also be able to order from these e-commerce platforms? Will it be shipped to them?
Yeah, we open up to the whole one actually. And in fact, certain countries like in Philippines, they have their own website as well, and also in the Middle East as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to be sharing those links at the bottom of this YouTube description for those who are watching on YouTube. So I'm going to be sharing that, so you can click on any one of those, or as Dean has advised, walk into any pharmacy wherever you are in the countries that Dean has mentioned and check with them, and also with the hospitals, private hospitals, where they may be keeping this as well.
Yes.
You can get it from. So as we conclude, I think we have come to the end of this discussion, Dean, and it has really been very useful, I know, for those who are watching this. And for those who are watching this, please subscribe and click on the bell icon so that you will get new notifications of new videos that we release to transform your health naturally, of course. And once again, I would really like to thank Dean Lee, the founder of B-Crobes, and the company that has released Hexbio to all of us. So remember, Hexbio means 6 microbes in the probiotics. So once again, thank you very much, Dean, for spending this time with us and helping us understand more about probiotics and diseases related to gut bacteria.
Thank you so much, James, for having me. Thank you.
Thanks again, Dean.